What's up, everybody? I am not feeling well, obviously, if you can't tell by the sound of my voice. I've had a cold, I've had a sore throat all week, have watched no new wrestling. Monday night, I missed Raw because I was dead to the world, basically. And Thursday night, I opted to go see the midnight showing of Harry Potter, so I kind of blew off Impact. Good movie, but I'm kind of regretting my decision now because I woke up the next day feeling worse than I had before, so probably wasn't a good idea. And SmackDown I missed because it's fucking Friday and I just don't feel like watching SmackDown. But I didn't know what I was going to do my video about this week, but then I thought, we got Survivor Series this week, so what the hell, I'll do a preview. And actually, major credit goes to the WWE. They surpassed my expectations. We actually have a full card. For the first time in what feels like an eternity, we actually have a full 8-match card set up. And it was pretty much finalized by Wednesday, I think, which is a rarity. Normally it's like, or at least the last few shows, it's been Sunday rolls around and we've only got 5 matches set, and I'm sitting here thinking, it's like, well, what the hell is this, a mystery box? We just tune in and find out what the card is. But here, yeah, everything is established. So I think by default, this is the WWE's best card in a while. I still have my problems with the show. Going over the card, let's get the crap out of the way. Tag title match, Heath Slater and Justin Gabriel versus Santino Marella and Kozlov. I don't give a shit. How the hell did Santino and Kozlov become number one contenders? I mean, really? Really? This is your only option? God damn, that's pretty bad. And by the way, I apologize to Wade Barrett. He does not have the worst finisher in wrestling. That Cobra thing that Santino does is so ridiculous. And you want to know why a lot of people make fun of wrestling? It's moves like that. That's part of it. It just, there's no way in hell I can take that seriously. But whatever. Divas title, Laycool versus Natalya. I mean, what else can I say about Laycool that hasn't been said already? They're annoying. They're a horrible presence on TV, outside of the fact that they're hot. Layla's extremely hot, but still doesn't make her a desirable presence on my wrestling show. And I just can't stand watching them. And then you have Natalya, who I would like to win the title. Not that I would care about the Divas division overnight if she won, but I think if you're going to have a Divas division or a women's division or whatever, it would probably be best to have it on a girl who has a wrestling background, just to give it some kind of credibility, instead of keeping it on a girl that you trained on the fly and it's obvious that you trained her on the fly, which unfortunately has happened a lot. But, I would want Natalya to win this match, but I'm not going to hold my breath. I also don't give a shit about the World Heavyweight title match. I think Edge is one of those guys. He's held the title so many times. I think he's held it at least 10 times. And when you've held it that many times, you have to start asking the question, well, if he wins it for an 11th time, does it really matter? What more can you do with him as champion? That said, I will gladly take Edge over Kane at this point. Kane is somebody who fizzled out as a character years ago. I can't believe that so much effort is being put into resurrecting him and trying to make him relevant again. I mean, when he was doing jobs for like Khali and Umaga and Batista, you would have thought it's like, yeah, he's pretty much done. And physically, he isn't what he used to be, so I don't understand why. I mean, Kane's not your future, so why is so much being put into him now in 2010? I don't get it. But whatever. I would hope that Edge would win this match, but again, I'm not going to hold my breath. But let's get into the good of the show. The rest of the card isn't bad, actually. We have a Survivor Series match, traditional Survivor Series match. I guess Vince McMahon changed his mind after what happened last year. Yeah, it was so funny that he said the reason the buy rate was so low last year is because, well, the concept doesn't work anymore. And I'm thinking, yes, Vince, there's a percentage of fans out there that think, wait a minute, 5-on-5 elimination matches? No, thank you. I'm not watching that. It's like, what's his name? I think it was Mike Johnson. I think who it was who said something along the lines of tournaments don't draw. I'm like, yeah, I guess somebody needs to tell the NCAA that thing they do in March totally doesn't draw at all. And the NFL, that whole playoff system they have, which is basically a tournament, yeah, that doesn't work. Not at all. Maybe it's just bad execution that leads to low buy rates. Just a thought. Or overusage of these concepts. Just a thought. It has nothing to do with the concept itself. But whatever. We have a Survivor Series match, and more credit goes to the WWE. I thought coming out of bragging rights that they would mix and match Raw and SmackDown guys, which makes no sense. But they didn't do that. They kept it entirely SmackDown, which good for them. I believe it's Rey Mysterio's team of him, Kofi, MVP, Big Show, and Chris Masters? Chris Masters? He's another one of those guys. It's like, oh, he still has a job. Good. Good for him. And they'll be taking on Del Rio's team of him and the heels with no direction. Cody, McIntyre, Tyler Rex, whatever the hell his name is. Again, he's another one. I said it last month. It's like, wow, he still has a job. Good for him. And there's one more, and he's slipping my mind right now. I don't know. Whoever it is, I probably should have looked it up before I went, but it'll probably dawn on me later. Oh, Jack Swagger, former World Heavyweight Champion. Yeah, Jack Swagger. Nice to know he's still getting spots on the card. Yeah, it'll be a Survivor Series match. I don't think that this is a big payoff to a storyline or anything, or the Rey and Del Rio feud isn't exactly one that I feel is setting the world on fire, because, I'm not watching SmackDown just to see it, and I don't feel like it's generating much of a buzz, but who knows, that's just me. But I think it'll be a good Survivor Series match. How many of these matches are bad? I think it'll be good. I think the talents will make it exciting, and it'll, be a good, solid match. Nothing else to say, really. Now, the next three matches, I would say, are the three matches that I'm looking forward to the most on this pay-per-view. Unfortunately, they weren't set up very well creatively, but I think the in-ring work will make up for it. And it kind of makes me sad that they didn't set them up better creatively, because I think these matches could be really good. Got Morrison versus Sheamus, which I think they could mesh very well together, because Sheamus does a lot of cool power moves, and Morrison can sell like a motherfucker. So I think they will mesh extremely well. So I think that match will be really good. Feud was kind of stupid. I don't understand. Again, I've said this before with Morrison's character, but why is a cool-looking rock star guy being Mr. I want to stand up for the oppressed and the bullied? And why is Santino like the focal point of this feud? I don't get it, but all right. But I think the good ring work will overcome a less than desirable storyline. So, yeah, I think that match will be good. I think the U.S. title match will be really good. It'll be Daniel Bryan versus Ted DiBiase. Now, the problem here is that I don't understand how Ted is a viable contender for the U.S. title after he's been jobbing to Goldust the last few weeks. And I don't understand why he's jobbing to Goldust. I remember when Goldust first debuted, the past generation was fed to him, like Marty Jannetty and Bam Bam Bigelow. So why is he beating the young guys now? I mean, he's another one like Kane. Is like, didn't the Goldust character fizzle out like a long time ago? Why are we still pushing it? So, yeah, but I think the match will be really good. I like Ted's old school style. I'm really high on Danielson. I think he's having the best matches on the show. So I think they'll go out there and have a hell of a match, and I just wish they had set it up better, because I think this will be one of the better parts of the show. And another one, the IC title match. Dolph Ziggler versus Kaval, Low-Ki, Senshi, whatever the hell you want to call him. I think these two will mesh extremely well. Again, I think Ziggler really reminds me of Kurt Hennig in the way that he sells. He looks more like Kurt Hennig's son than Kurt Hennig's son does. Wrap your head around that one. If they had done an angle where he was Mr. Perfect's son, I totally would have bought it. Because he reminds me so much of Kurt Hennig. I don't like that he's paired with Vicky Guerrero, and, because whenever she's on the TV, it makes me not want to watch, even if I am really high on the talent she's attached to. I don't understand why we're still trying to pump life into this character, but all right. And Kaval, he's been on a losing streak since he's debuted on SmackDown. People have told me that he hasn't won a match. I don't know if that's true, but I'm just going by what I'm reading in the results. It feels like he doesn't win all that much. And again, how is he a legit contender to the IC title? Because he won NXT and he was promised a title shot? And they do that with Money in the Bank sometimes, where it's like, oh, they already have a title shot, so they don't need to win at all. It's like, well, don't you want us to think of them as credible? And this is a whole nother discussion I will probably do sometime in the future about how wins and losses don't matter anymore, and how they could have a guy lose straight for a year and then all of a sudden he's World Heavyweight Champion. Jack Swagger. And that kind of stuff just bugs me. But here we go. This whole situation feels like a match that they needed to do because of the way NXT 2 ended. And they just forgot about it. And it's like, oh, all right, we'll give him his title match now. But, again, I think these two could have a hell of a match. I think with Low Ki's killer offense and his hardcore-looking kicks and stuff, and Ziggler's amazing ability to sell, I think they will mesh extremely well and have a really good undercard match. So those three matches right there, I think will provide a lot of great in-ring action for the pay-per-view, and I think will probably make it worth your money if you're willing to overlook the less than desirable manner in which they set them up. I think the IC and US title matches weren't even like feuds or anything. They were just kind of set up this week. And again, going back to Ted, another thing I don't understand, how is, I never understood how beating up the champion and attacking him makes you a number one contender. Again, I think contendership should be based on wins and losses. And, those with strong winning records should be given title shots. Like a real sport. I know that wrestling isn't real, but if you're going to present yourself as a sports league, I think that's the route they should take. Push the winners. And they should be the ones that win the titles. Or at least get the title shots, But again, that's a whole other video we're talking about. But I think those three matches will be very good, and I wouldn't be surprised if any one of those matches stole the show. And then we have the main event, which is kind of the opposite of what I just talked about with the three undercard matches. In the ring, like I've said before, I'm not high on Barrett at all, and I'm not really excited about seeing him mix it up with Orton. But I think the storyline is really good. I think having Cena as the referee and giving him options is like, okay, you either help Barrett win and you get to leave Nexus, or if Orton wins, you're going to get fired. I think that, number one, I really don't know what they're going to do with this, which that air of unpredictability is kind of cool. And I think there are so many interesting possibilities that they can do with John Cena's character and actually make him an interesting character, which is something they haven't been able to do with Cena in a long time. I think if he helps Barrett win and turn heel over, by screwing Orton over, you've got a great heel, I think, because his motivations would be believable. It wouldn't just be some random heel turn for the sake of a heel turn. I think it would be, people would kind of understand where Cena's coming from. If he calls the match down the middle and just lets the chips fall where they will, then I think you have a chance to turn Cena into kind of a rebel Sting-like character, the way Sting was in the late 90s, 97 specifically, where he could sneak into shows, maybe buy a ticket and attack Nexus whenever they come out. All kinds of cool things. They could actually make John Cena kind of cool. And I think there are just so many possibilities of where they can go with this. And unlike last month's Orton-Barrett match, there's really no room for a cop-out. So I think we're going to get a big storyline ending no matter what happens. And I think that's very interesting. I think that's very cool. And I'll be interested to see what happens. So overall, Survivor Series, I think it's a good card overall. There are a lot of things I would have done differently, and I think, like I said, creatively, I think they could have set it up a lot better. But I think on paper, it's definitely the WWE's best pay-per-view in a long-ass time. At least since I've been doing videos. And we'll see what happens.